Individually and collectively, we are right now free falling into a very unusual energetic theme and shift that's transpiring. Do you feel it? As something feeling different, perhaps involving your relationship with time and your awareness of reality itself feeling off, almost like the patterns that you've already been associating with, even when it comes to dealing with uncertainty, handling change, looking at yourself and trying to maintain positivity, probably aren't working anymore. You may feel like even past coping mechanisms or defense mechanisms, all of these things are becoming futile because something has fundamentally shifted in the field and in your inner world, rendering all of these past coping ways obsolete. Right now, there's a collective reckoning that's upon us, and I'm going to describe it as a very specific, energetic tendency, which the mind isn't going to be able to comprehend. So I challenge you right now to really feel this as a part of what your inner reality already knows to be true. You've already been experiencing some degree of uncertainty and yet deep certainty, because your emotions are that telltale sign that you're riding these waves of change. To begin understanding this, let's look at the Tibetan concept of Bardo, which means transition. A Bardo is like the state between death and rebirth. It's the point at which transcendence becomes available when the self transmutes from one form to another. It's roughly the passageway that's experienced when you fall asleep and you enter the astral realm or the dream realm. And there you're able to access deeper layers of the subconscious mind and merge with a part of your own higher self that allows you to access deeper truths about reality. So every time you fall asleep, you could say that's a mini death that happens, or maybe a mini awakening, a coming back to your senses of a higher self reality and that truly awakened state of being. Because at that point, you're able to see without the veil of your conscious mind or your egoic identity. That encapsulates the essence of Bardo, a passage moving you from one state to another, which serves as a bridge between states of consciousness, states of being, states of spiritual attainment. And ultimately, it's like a portal taking you into a certain evolutionary leap that aligns you with what the soul wants to be experiencing. But Bardo isn't just a concept of losing or changing consciousness individually. It's also about any kind of collective or systemic change because it is a theme of transformation. But what's curious about our relationship to Bardo at this time is we no longer are on a bridge. Even though a lot of people are looking at this moment in our collective and personal evolutions as one of transformation, change, because we know that something is shifting collectively and a lot of people are feeling it simultaneously, there is no longer a sense that we can simply ease our way down this bridge and maintain control, expectations, familiar awareness, or even see the bridge as a connection between our past and our future. Rather, this Bardo that we're going through right now is like the breakdown of a bridge, which philosophically is a very interesting analogy. If the bridge is breaking down, what's left? You don't even have the same comfort to hold on to of knowing that you are on a bridge between realms or between versions of yourself. And without the attachment to a bridge, what do you become? Does fear infiltrate your field? Do you feel like you are lost, or do you try to spiritually bypass because you aren't able to even hang on to the certainty of knowing what is going to come in the future? Very often when people go through any kind of a Bardo-like experience, they are connected to the identity that they are birthing that they know will come after that Bardo, because during the state of liminality, most people are already conjuring up the reality that they want to experience. For many, this is a time of manifestation, creating new goals, new dreams, connecting to what they want to experience, and that typically brings about hope and faith and excitement, because if something is being shed, like old identities, past ways, various aspects of your reality that you feel are outdated or expired, then naturally you're going to want to include what feels new and fresh and desirable. But what if even that tendency to create something that you know feels desirable is also evaporating? What if you're left with a big question mark? As you're descending into the state of your inner reality, that's the bridge that you're feeling. It's the rupture of the familiar Bardo of thinking you're going to know how this ends, and you emerge into the new reality that you're expecting. And instead, you're moving into a state where there can be no expectations. And that's where the next identity will actually get a chance to form. In other words, like a snake right now, you are shedding layers of your past, your old self, the skin of physical attachments, weight, karmic challenges, pressure, even connections to the outer reality that might have kept you in a state of being tethered to the world as you know it, which can create either discomfort or even a sense of comfort if you think you know what is happening and you feel comfortably connected to that perception. Well, all of that is being challenged because the energy right now is uprooting even the sense of peace you feel rooted in attachment, in longing, in thinking that you know how to control the world around you by maintaining that sense of egoic attachment. And if you feel right now uncomfortable, like you're looking for something to cling on to yet you can't, or simply like you feel you have different desires emanating, these are all signs that the past identity structure has already collapsed. There's actually no going back to it. You won't be able to go back to that old way of thinking, feeling, coping, emoting, because right now you're in this womb-like space. And in that space, a whole new you gets to be discovered. You may perhaps see yourself more like an observer, awareness itself, seeing the world around you, and understanding that right now there are a lot of in-betweens experienced across different timelines, different people's realities, and the collective purging so many old programs that it's really creating for a lot of people an emotional reaction because they aren't sure yet what they have the power to choose when they let go of that old self. If you aren't rooted in attachment, think about what you're going to be choosing then, and is it different than what you've been choosing in the past? If you allow yourself to fully and truly let go of how you've been seeing yourself, playing the game of life, manipulating with your own perceptions in some ways to keep yourself safe and comfortable, what then will begin to change? If you allow yourself to expand into a truly new identity structure that doesn't even have to know right now how it is to be defined, are you going to be comfortable in that space of the ultimate liminality? Right now, that challenge of experiencing love and peace within yourself and not knowing what is going to come of you, your fate, the collective fate, or exactly how things will continue to crumble and lead to evolution in the future, is causing you to experience the deepest kind of revelation within yourself. Because if you right now are experiencing pain, deep discomfort, then that's a sign you need to move into it even more and get cozy in your inner world in that state of uncertainty, to feel what you haven't felt in the past, to experience maybe deeper grief, deeper pain that hasn't been felt, to look at everything in a way of actually empathizing with yourself as the one that has bypassed in the past and choosing to no longer do that. And then seeing where that energy wants to take you. More than likely, if you allow yourself to move into it with an open heart and an open mind, you aren't going to feel it wants you to move on to the next goal or dream or process of attainment. Rather, the energy at hand wants to challenge your desire to do and create and build altogether and simply be, to fall into a state where you actually enjoy the feeling of not needing to surpass your ego's expectations, but actually yielding to the state where there are no expectations at all. You can simply be. Go day by day. Unlearn everything that you have been filling your mind with in order to feel a sense of ease inside yourself, and just go with the flow. Change your rhythm. Let yourself connect more deeply with yourself and just gain a loving relationship with an identity that doesn't want to be confined, an identity of flow, which means you're going to feel a lot more and you're going to be okay with that. It means you may have days when you feel extremely intense emotions, where you're seeing what's happening around you, and that becomes a part of your inner world reaction. That's a sign that you actually aren't filtering out external experiences, but are permeable to them, which is an experience of oneness. That's what this wave of Bardo is actually leading to. It's a rupture between the bardos that we are used to. We're not moving from transition to definite state of being. We're like collapsing the bridge and falling into a whole new dimensional experience in which our relationship to time is no longer linear but more spiralic. And the way that we're feeling ourselves is also not bound to familiar illusions. Instead, you can feel things as they really are, including feeling things that you may not traditionally want to. Now you might wonder, why do that? Why bother experiencing deep and uncomfortable emotions? Well, that's exactly the point. If you allow yourself to simply take things a day at a time, experience whatever emotions are coming up, including certain deeper, darker qualities of you, you're actually going to be confronting your shadow and parts of your soul that need to be embraced as a way of spiritually preparing for what's to come. This is the first stage. The Bardo rupture brings us into a space of feeling what has been split within ourselves. What have we torn away from because we didn't want to give attention to it? And so ask yourself, if you're uncomfortable with the slowdown, with moving into a different kind of rhythm, feeling things differently than you have been even letting yourself emote in the past, why is that uncomfortable? Where has your identity structure once secluded your ability to be this open and this loving? See, love is something many are talking about as simply a high-frequency state of transcendence, like moving away from the physical reality of discomfort and pain and war that is right now rampant, and moving into a state where you're dissociating from that to experience a loving nirvana state of being. But that couldn't be farther from the truth, as you aren't actually associating with the true reality at hand if you're implementing that kind of pattern of seeking something apart from the true reality. The love that we all desire to experience needs to be born in this place of discomfort, in that rupture of the bridge that we thought would bring us to the loving new earth reality that so many are talking about. The freedom we seek is in the release, not in the creation of a structure to bring us to the so-called final destination that many are waiting. It's not in the future, it's in the now. It's not in the outer reality changing or in the paradigm evolving before we do, but rather it's in that innate state of being that right now is being called most attention to. And so in the preciousness of this moment, you can find what inside you wants to be brought into deeper focus. The only way to get there is through presence, and by actually looking at the idle time when nothing seems to be happening, or where you think that there is a lot more waiting that needs to be done in order to achieve the desired state of being, as actually the moment where everything can be attained. Because if you change your relationship to this now moment as not one that perpetuates the old themes, or that you need to dwell in a state of despair because of, but you allow yourself to really thrive now, you're going to feel like a whole new quality of spiritual immunity is attained, as that's a state of being that is always up to you and that will allow you to confront any future pattern with certainty in your true self. The identity structure that has already collapsed is that of the self contingent on the past defining it. Right now, you're likely feeling like you are not sure how things are going to continue to unfold. And maybe you're not okay with that because you still want there to be a kind of solution born of self-control. But what if self-awareness is the way to go? What if you never even needed to be in control of reality to feel confident in yourself and to feel like you can trust the universe and you can trust that things will naturally harmonize when you do for yourself? A really uncomfortable spot that a lot of people are navigating personally is the need to go fully into themselves, because that's the only thing that they can sort of control, as everything happening outside of them is way beyond it. You can't change how other people feel at this time, but you can offer your support to them. You can allow your empathy and connection to yourself to be that bridge to help other people through the uncertainty of liminality. If you see somebody going through their own Bardo moment, you can help them to collapse the pain body that right now is trying to connect with the future state. If you recognize that there is a more powerful state of them that wants to come through, if only you harmonize with it and bring that into coherence by witnessing it fully. Similarly, you can allow yourself to repair everything that you think needs to be healed by allowing yourself to join forces with this higher self energy, which is not afraid of the rupture, because it's way beyond each of the transitional phases. Every transitional phase is like a winter period, a season of things going idle when it seems on the surface level that nothing is changing, nothing is happening. Of course, winter is the most important time for everything to come back into a state of incubation. As one cycle ends and everything comes back to the holding phase, in that, growth actually begins. So we can't negate the importance of the winter as the moment of rest and sacred incubation, when you can even allow yourself to move into a state of boredom at times, confusion, uncertainty, letting yourself rest more, be in a place where your nervous system has the chance to actually feel the energy of recalibration, because that means you're honoring yourself enough to allow the deepest kind of rebirth, not just turning a page in your fate and bringing the last story back around, but allowing there to be a complete, authentic change in the way that you relate to yourself by letting go of even the structure of relating. In this 0-point womb state, it might feel like you are flatlining, or like the collective is flatlining, because it is. And what that experience is like is waiting for the light that you know is supposed to come in a Bardo moment, that illumination of the future state of being that you've been waiting for. But that light doesn't come, because what you need to deal with is acceptance of the absence of it. The new archetypes haven't yet been birthed. The future has not yet been revealed. Maybe your future role hasn't yet become certain. And that's why acceptance is most necessary, because you aren't accepting through the scaffolding of the past identity structure. The integration that is happening is via that complete letting go. In other words, what's integrating is a new way of experiencing consciousness through fluidity, through the release, through allowing yourself to become comfortable with the space in between the inhale and the exhale. It's like the sacred breath hold, which you might think is a moment of suffocation, release and experiencing absolutely nothing, which feels like an endangerment to your survival. Or it can be seen as the most powerful place where you consciously release and honor that at that final exhale, you're going to be able to stay for as long as you need to experience your spirit merging with your body, and then inhale, feeling that integral continuum restored within yourself. You can actually do practices like this that allow you to experience your own Bardo between mind, body, and spirit to ease this transition. Elements like a fast, a water fast, or any kind of a fast involving a single food, potentially a fruit fast, or allowing yourself to practice the breath hold. Practice various motions that allow you to experience the release of everything stored within yourself, and simply be in that space. Let yourself just become fluid. Entertain a rhythm that doesn't feel rehearsed, performed, practiced, like you don't need to be anything at this time. You're just letting yourself experience isness, as that really is the most humble and enlightened state of being. It's the place where your desire to even keep attaining something ceases to exist. So in that moment, there is totality. This is the illusion the right now is shattering. That in the in-between, when you don't think you know what's going on, and you feel powerless, out of control, like you don't think you're going to be able to handle the future, that's actually when you attain the most awareness and connect to your deepest source of power, because it isn't the power of doing or thinking your way through reality that will ignite you moving forward. It's that knowing that your soul is guiding you, and it knows, but you down here are humbly catching up. And the merger between those states of being, the all-knowing, higher self state of continual awareness coming through you, is what allows you to have faith in yourself, in the future, and trust ultimately that humanity is also going through the shattering of everything old and outdated that needs to be released fearlessly so that we can actually birth new possibilities and decide what we all want individually and collectively moving into the future as we accommodate a future like we never even knew possible, because the mind couldn't conceive of it.